Now, the rest of the story.
All right, I'm standing here in front of the corn head, and we're about 98% done working on it as far as maintenance. I just gotta check the oil on the ends of the corn head, which really will take me 5 minutes. I just gotta set the head on the ground, and I'm gonna be unhooking it here anyway. But I wanted to do an update on these 360-degree chain rolls and these brushes that we put on this head. This is season 3, or going into season 3, with these attachments, accessories, and I just wanted to show you guys what 2 years of, or 2 full seasons of wear and tear has done to these. First and foremost is the brushes that are on each of these rows. Now, they are definitely showing their wear and tear. You guys can see the gap down above the roll, which is to be expected. They only advertise these for 100 acres per row as far as having the complete coverage of the brushes that catch every little kernel that falls down through them. Now, you're probably going to say that we need to go through and change these brushes out, or they're getting to the point they need to be. And I'm actually going to give you a counter argument and say they're actually right about to where I want them to be in the first place. The reason I say that is when the brushes are completely covering this area, you tend to get more leaves and stalk material thrown back into the machine. I'm really not a fan of that. But what I like is, now that there is a bit of a space here that the plant is able to be pulled down through, it still has enough of the brushes in this area to dampen the blow from the ears coming down and being pulled off of the plant, off the stalk. So when the ear is coming down and an accelerated rate, it hits these brushes, and that helps reduce the amount of kernels you're losing for shell loss as the ears are being handled between these rows. Now, it doesn't seem like a lot when you're only talking 2 or 3, 4 kernels, or let's just say a few kernels per row or per ear. But over an acre, say some of the ground we plant at 30,000, some I got planted at 38,000. Well, even 30,000 plants per acre, and you're losing a few kernels per plant, that really adds up to bushels across your whole operation. So what we did, we had a bunch of these rubber flaps that actually help keep the ears from sliding out the front of the head. That was another issue that I had with these, is that it really doesn't give anything for the ears to get a hold of and be pulled back in the machine. So if you do not have these flaps or any material going into the head, it's pretty common for the ears to slide out the front of the corn head. And in 250 bushel corn, I got to tell you, that's really discouraging. So I do have the wedge kit ordered and on the way for this corn head. Should see it sometime this upcoming week. That is the only thing that is left to do to this machine, or to the corn head at least. Everything from the feeder house back is done. From bearings to that vertical unloading auger to the outer unloading augers. Gearboxes have been gone through, belts have been replaced. Anything that looked iffy or sketchy has been dealt with and fixed and addressed. The display is in the combine. The GPS is mounted on the top of the globe is on the top of the cab. All of our lights work, which is mandatory anymore, because when gotta go when the getting's good, pretty much, with how harvest is. The only thing that I have to do is check the oil on the end of this head, and it has to be on the ground anyway, and put that wedge kit on. So the plan is drop this head off back in the corner, out of the way, and that kit, it basically just bolts on. I'll probably try to catch something of of setting that up. But the whole point of that wedge kit is it raises the head like back, so it's not coming down at such a severe angle, and it actually levels it out by 6 degrees. How much is 6 degrees going to be looking across the front of the head? I don't know if it'll be a lot. All I'm really looking for is to be significant enough that it kind of flattens out these row units, so it helps them pull the corn into the, or the ears into the head a little bit easier, so they're not pulling it up at such a steep angle. Worth the money, a few $100. I guess I'm going to find out. It was either that or take all these brushes off, take all these chains off, and then change it out for the regular John Deere row chains. Would like to avoid that if I could. So we did go through 2 years ago, and hopefully my light's kind of giving up the ghost. We went through and changed out all the row units, or the corn rolls on each unit, because we used to have the standard John Deere rolls and they were completely shot. This is supposed to be a filled gap all the way from the front all the way back. The John Deere rolls, it was about halfway back before the stalk was getting a decent bite by the rolls and being pulled down, and that doesn't do it. So we were getting a lot of shearing. Excuse me. So what we have, there's actually a shear on each of these rolls. These rolls are timed when you get them, and what happens is this is coming around. Both of these shears meet at approximately 7-inch lengths. So as it starts a revolution, it's going to let down approximately 7 inches of stalk and then cut it off. The whole point of that is ideally in the spring, if you're especially working in no-till conditions, but even conventional till situations where the stalk still hasn't completely decomposed by planting, though that 7-inch length is considered the ideal size, so the trash whippers, the row cleaners on your corn planter can push them off to the side, and it's not confetti, so you're not just dealing with a mat of material. That is a big thing that they are trying to avoid when they're doing this, so it's not like a constant knife as opposed to these teeth, or it's all just a constant shear. It's kind of like having the brush cutter mounted right underneath the corn head, or actually having the chopping corn head styles. I've actually heard of people running the sharp knived rolls on all their units, on all their rows, and then still running the knives, the chopping heads. So basically it was and does leave a mat of material through the field. Nothing wrong with doing that if that's what you want to do. The thing that you got to worry about is if it's a cold, wet spring, it makes a mat of material, and it really makes it hard for the sun and heat to really penetrate that and really dry the soil out, so you get that much more time lost when it comes to planting in the spring. So we like to try to avoid that. I'm really happy with what we did. So what these teeth do is that they actually, as they're pulling the stalk down in, it's busting that stalk up. It's not breaking it off or anything, but it's opening up the inside of that stalk to the dirt and to the microbes and everything that's in the soil. So it allows it to break down, allows oxygen to get to it, and it allows your residue to break up in the fall and over the winter better than just having a long corn plant laying out in the field, because you come back next spring, it's still going to be there. So you got my trusty companion here. He had his first ride in the combine today, and I wasn't exactly prepared to catch him when he jumped out, because he did the whole leap of faith on me and got me about right about here. About took me to the ground. So the combine is done. Dad waxed it a couple hours ago. It does have a nice shine to it. Engine oil has been changed. Windows are clean. Only thing that needs to be done is, well, it's been fueled even. So really just need to hook the bean head up to it and we're ready to rock and roll. That is exactly where we wanted this to be as far as being ready for this fall. I can tell you right now, and from what I've been hearing, the odds are really high where we're actually going to be starting in on beans first and finishing beans before we even begin any corn. Perfectly fine with that. Well, we only have 80 acres of beans this year. We actually converted a little over 100 acres of corn or of soybeans this spring over to corn, just because the market was terrible. It was just couldn't justify putting in beans and knowing what we can actually yield on corn. We actually have some ground that, according to the harvest maps from the previous years, beans will consistently run 40 to 45, and the corn was running 190 on a rough year, and 200 was pretty common to see go across the monitor. 200 sounds really awesome. I mean, it's a good yield, but your break evens, especially with current prices, you almost need 200 bushels to break even if you're factoring in moderate to common breakdowns. So I don't really want to get into cash flows right now. Not sitting terribly, but it is how it is. I'm one of those people that currently is waiting to get going on harvest, so I actually have some money to work with this fall yet. I don't know if anybody has noticed, there's a camera sitting here on the bench. Probably going to be a video in itself. This is a halo view camera. It's the exact same camera that is on our round baler, so I can see out the back. Ideally, so I can see if any round bales have, blew up on me or failed or didn't wrap, or if anybody's following me down the road. I'm actually going to mount this on that Easy Trail wagon because I'm pulling that with the 76, and the 76 has the monitor and everything in it already. So it won't take me very long to go through and set this up so I can see into the wagon and see how much corn I have in it, how much room I have in it for when I'm filling it, because I'm going to be pulling grain home between the farms here. The semi isn't going to be doing that job for the most part, just because we can't get in, especially down at my place. So I want to go through and would like to go through. I may do it yet. Get another one yet. This is only 70 bucks. I ordered it 2 days ago when it showed up, even though it wasn't supposed to be here for, oh gosh, this thing wasn't supposed to show up for over a week yet. And I figured I had time. But I want to put another one on the back of the wagon so I can see behind me going up and down the road too, especially for backing in the machine shed. But the problem is I wasn't 100% certainty that this is the camera that I needed. So I just opted to buy one, so I didn't have two that didn't work. But this is definitely what I needed, so I can go back to that listing and get another one on its way, or two or three. Because I do want to put another one in like the pickup of the round baler so I can see what's going on as we're going, because I can see the net wrap in the back of the pickup when we go to wrap. So, all right, it's getting late. I'm actually probably potentially going to go do another video if I can get to it yet. So thanks for tuning in. I hope everybody else is feeling the excitement or building up excitement for harvest. It's just starting to hit me now as far as getting excited for the stress. Yes, the stress of worrying about yields and getting everything off the field in a timely manner, and moisture and breakdowns and fuel and tillage and fertilizer and soil sampling and cattle and feed. Yes, all that has to be handled here in the next 2 to 3 months, ideally before Thanksgiving. But we'll have to see. All right, I gotta go. Bye.